It's the Fatboy Show on your number one station, RX Radio. Hoping you're keeping safe and driving safe. It's very important to do that because the carnage on our roads is just where to even begin. People are losing their lives every other day in road accidents. Of course, we are still coming to terms with the passing of a very famous billionaire in Uganda here called Aponye. That was his nickname. His real name is Apollo Nyegamehe, aka Aponye. He perished in a car accident several days ago. This fatal car collision occurred with a stationary truck, and this was on the 6th of July. And now what we have found is that they have arrested the driver.
Yes.
The driver of Mr. Aponye, the man who was driving the car. And this revelation was made by Ruizi Region Police spokesperson Samson Kasasira. Kasasira said that Buyinza's arrest, the driver, follows unanswered questions about the lead up to the accident that claimed the life of one of Uganda's wealthiest business personalities. He is being investigated for possible negligence that caused the death of Aponye due to reckless driving. Now, it would have been considered impolite to bring this up at the time, but I was also of the view that the accident could possibly have been avoided if, for example, they were not overspeeding. If you're overspeeding, chances are when you encounter something like a stationary vehicle, you will certainly not have time to react to it, in time to evade it, and so you're likely to have a collision. And in this case, therefore, I'm not surprised that they think the driver might have had something to do in terms of how he was driving the car and how that would have led to the accident that claimed the life of Aponye.
Of course, police has to do its part. They have to, have an investigation, dig deep into the issue and come to the bottom of it. But I also, on the side of the driver, I kind of defend him because this is a highway. And when you're on the highway, you overspeed. That is normal business. Unless if they're saying that the accident happened in a trading center where someone has to be, let's say, driving maybe at 40 kilometers per hour or even 20, something like that.
Wait, do you think the police are suspecting a conspiracy?
I don't think they're suspecting a conspiracy, but I think they have to try and do something to show that because they're not just looking on and saying something happened, we didn't do anything, because actually the police itself is at fault here, because the Speaker of Parliament the other day said according to the Road Act 2019, when a car breaks down in the road, it is supposed to be in urban centers, it's supposed to be towed away after 2 hours, and outside Kampala after 6 hours. So how long was this lorry on the road? Plus the lorry driver didn't even put on hazard lights. That is mainly why these people had a collision, because they didn't see it.
And it was at night?
It was at night.
But normally, would it not have been having reflectors?
They're supposed to have reflectors. They're supposed to put on their hazard lights so that whoever is coming from the other direction knows that ahead there is a car that has broken down. So if neither of those were there, we can't necessarily blame the driver 100%. And if it wasn't a trading center and the driver was driving from a place where he's supposed to overspeed, it's like when you're on the expressway and you're driving at 80 kilometers per hour or even more, and then someone's car breaks down and there is nothing to indicate that a car has broken down. Would you blame the person driving on the express that you rammed into a car because you weren't careful?
So do you think this arrest is simply protocol, just procedural?
I think so.
Because he was a billionaire, Mr.
Yes.
Aponye, right? And so it would be feasible that he had enemies.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that were not happy with him. You can't be that successful and not have stepped on a few toes.
Of course.
So it's easy to start to speculate other motives for how this accident could have occurred. Could it have been intentional? And especially since the driver survived, it almost, and I think that's the rub. It's like if typically for such a fatal accident, and if it's a head-on collision, typically everyone perishes.
For some reason, I don't know what kind of plan God had for drivers, but they usually survive. you can see a grisly accident where you expect no one to have survived, and for some reason
The driver made it
the
out.
driver made it out, and sometimes unscathed, because there were other occupants in the car.
Yeah.
Aponye died on the spot, but then he was with his nephew and some other person, and they were taken to hospital with serious injuries, but they didn't die.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's see what comes out of the investigations. Of course, it's a big tragedy, and I feel bad for the family of Mr. Aponye.
And the country, really.
and for the whole country. You know, I pass by his building every day. He has a building just near our office here.
Yes, in Ntinda.
In fact, our business account is in the Equity Bank, which is in Aponye's Ntinda building.
Yeah.
So that is quite tragic.
It's a tragedy because he's been running these businesses, Mega Standard Supermarket, the Aponye buildings, and he's been actually one of the main exporters of grain to the World Food Program.
Really?
To Uganda prisons, the Office of the Prime Minister, Uganda Police, and he has been employing Ugandans on quite a large scale. Go to any standard supermarket and you're going to find many Ugandans, of course, from a certain region of the country, but still employment.
Still employment.
Yes.
Still very important. Okay, so clearly the nation has lost a great son.
Yes.
And he shall be missed. Well, once we get more details on the outcome of these investigations, we'll be sure to share them with you. Do keep listening to your number one station, RX Radio. This is the Fatboy Show.